Hello, and welcome to Walking to Urithiru. I'm Overlord Jeebus, and this is part 9 of my Oathbringer preview chapter analysis. First, I'd like to apologise for the lateness of this video, and also the difference in the sound and the video quality. My phone has just bricked itself recently, so I'm going to use a different phone. But in other news, I did also get a stand for my phone, so now it won't be completely jittery and just moving all over the place the whole time. So, I hope you enjoy. As per usual, spoilers for the whole Cosmere. Okay, so as I normally do, I'm going to go and get all of the epigraphs from all 3 of the chapters this week, even if we don't manage to cover all the 3 chapters in this video, for the purposes of putting them all together so that we have the most amount of Oathbringer context as we can. I'm actually also going to include the last sentence from last week's because I feel this is very much a run-on from those sentences and it kind of makes a little bit more sense that way. Alright, okay, let's get straight in. I will express only direct, even brutal truth. You must know what I have done and what those actions have cost me. For in this comes the lesson. It is not a lesson I claim to be able to teach. Experience herself is the great teacher, and you must seek her directly. You cannot have a spice described to you, but you must taste it yourself. So it sounds like Oathbringer, the book inside the book, will give the reader an experience, or at least tell them how to have that experience. It could be a guide on how to become a Radiant, assuming that the author is a Radiant of some sort, and what happens to them when they did is linked to the fact that they're a Radiant. That's kind of how I'm starting to read this. And once again, I'm still not happy with how little these epigraphs are telling us, and unless it turns out that, like, the author's Kelsier or some shit, I can't see them being that big of a... Unless it's like Hoyd. If Hoyd ends up being the fucking Oathbringer author, then I'm just going to be like, fucking what? So we'll have to wait and see, as per usual. So we start out with the Dalinar chapter 16, wrapped 3 times. And it's nice that we get to find out where the Honor Blade's been this whole time. It does appear that Dalinar's been keeping it in a sewer pipe. This sewage room, whatever it is, Dalinar describes it as not having any of the strata patterns that Shallan keeps banging on about, which has killed any theories that the strata patterns are something that only Shallan can see, because I had seen that theory about. I didn't think it ever had any kind of that much credence to it, but I guess, that theory's completely dead now. Dalinar and the Stormfather have a nice little chat about the Honor Blades, and the Stormfather confirms that the Honor Blades were something that was gifted to the Heralds by Honor as part of the Oath Pact. Now, we did have words of Brandon on that, but it's nice to get confirmation in the text. It's nice to, have this solid kind of, right here, definitely this is what is happening with the Honor Blades. We also get confirmation that Shardplate is part of the Oath system. Some people thought that the Shardplate was made by Spren, kind of joining in with the Pact, or, the Radiant Spren kind of convincing other Spren to do things, or maybe someone forging it out of Tanavastium, or whatever. But it does actually seem like it is something you get after a certain amount of oaths, whether it's, after your 4th or your 5th oath. We don't know, because I'm pretty sure all orders get Shardplate, just like all orders get Shardblades, not counting Dalinar, but I reckon if he really wanted to, he could summon the Stormfather. So I don't know whether it's Shallan's at the level, because the Shallan is the most furthest along Radiant that we have so far. And so I don't know if Shallan has reached the level where she could get Shardplate if she wants to. We'll have to wait and see. The Stormfather even mentions that he himself is unable to break oaths. And I thought that was interesting because I'd actually recently been thinking about why it is that the Stormfather quite happily allows the listeners to transform into, forms of Odium. And so it seems like the reason that the Stormfather doesn't stop listeners from becoming those forms whilst in the storm is because he must be tied down in some sort of way, in some oath, maybe part of the Oath Pact, maybe just part of his being the Stormfather, before Honor even turned up. He also mentions Adonasium, and I was like, oh, how much of Honor's memories does the Stormfather have? I did not realise he remembered Adonasium. And the reason that Dalinar and the Stormfather are having this conversation is because Dalinar is asking about these rules, about the champion rules that that Odium seems to be able to abide by. And it seems like the Stormfather's answer is that they can't act outside of their divine intent, basically. So, Honor can't act dishonorably, Odium can't act non-hatefully, and, cultivation would struggle very hard to destroy something. And this got me thinking about why it means that Odium must abide by the Oath Pact, And the conclusion I came to is that Odium must abide by the Oath Pact because the Oath Pact isn't just an honourable pact. It must also be something hateful and something cultivate something. So as we've always, I don't know about other people, but I've always thought of the Oath Pact as, honor applying rules. People have to abide by oaths in a pact. But if that wouldn't bind Odium, Odium wouldn't be able to act in a honourable manner. Or maybe he could, but he'd also be forced to act in a hateful manner. So whatever it is, the nature of the Oath Pact is going to be something not great. When we find out the rules or whatever it is that this happens, it's going to be something, hateful. It's going to be something... What the Stormfather then says about Odium is then very strange. I'm just going to read you the full quote here. "Your enemy is not a man like you," the Stormfather replied, voice rumbling, thoughtful. "Even frightened, he does not age. He feels, he is angry, but this does not change, and his rage does not cool. Epochs can pass, and he will remain the same. To fight directly might coax out forces that could hurt him, as he has been hurt before. Those scars do not heal. To pick a champion then lose will only cost him time. He has that in plentitude. He will still not agree easily, but it is possible he will agree. If presented with the option in the right moment, the right way, then he will be bound. And we win? Time, the Stormfather said, which, though dross to him, is the most valuable thing a man can have. So, it's a big one. It's probably the largest info dump we've got from the Stormfather, and probably one of the largest info dumps we've got about Odium. And so, the way he says this makes it sound like fighting Odium directly will cause damage permanently to Odium, and that the champion system, the champion clause of the Oath Pact, is not that. It's not fighting him directly. All it does is buy humanity time. And all I can think is time to do what? Is the end of this desolation? Is killing Odium's champion? Is all that going to do is buy humanity time and just restart this desolation cycle? Because it just seems so unusual to me that the Stormfather pretty much seems to directly say there are ways of fighting him that injure him personally, and then in a different sentence says this will simply take him time to recover from, and he has that in plentitude. So what is the purpose of killing Odium's champion? Who are these forces that we can coax out to hurt Odium permanently? It's very... this was a real head scratcher, I'm not going to lie. Following this, we then also get nice confirmation for something that Brandon has hinted out before. Well, not really confirmation. It's almost definitely confirming something, which is that the honor blades don't just give you the surges and make you a radiant easily. They make you like a herald, nearly. Now, heralds have lots of other powers than what we've seen. Talon has shown that he's able to catch a dart mid-air as it's being blown at him. They have other abilities that the Radiants don't have access to, and the word of random we had previously is that if someone is using an Honor Blade and they are not aware of the powers that the Honor Blade gives them, then they cannot use those powers. And so it does seem that the Honor Blades are definitely way more powerful than just a Shard Blade that gives you the surges. And I look forward to finding out what other abilities they grant. Oh, and now it's time to talk about Rial. So, as Dalinar leaves the chamber with the Honor Blade and goes to the wrestling arena, he chats with a rude bridgeman from Bridge 13 who's very uppity. And obviously that's not that unusual for a bridgeman. But this one is given a name, he's given a little description, he's, got a distinctive talking pattern. Brendan doesn't just include these. This guy is someone, I can guarantee it. Now I've seen people trying to gather things around, gather information on him. The only things we've got is that he's a little bit pale for an Alethi. Alethi are quite dark-skinned. He's also described as rolling a sphere through his knuckles. And so it does sound to me like that's the kind of habit you pick up from a place that has coins. So obviously the conclusion from this is that he's from Scadrial, and also his name is Rial, so, but also we have Fabrials in Roshar. So I'm not going to read too much into that one. If it's someone we've seen before, then I'm going to guarantee it's the rolling the coin between the knuckles thing. That's the the giveaway, that's the tell. So if anyone can think of anyone in any of the Cosmo books, and I've checked a few of the Scadrial ones, I've checked all of Moraes' crew in Words of Radiance, and no one seemed to be described with rolling a coin through their fingers. So if anyone does have any ideas, leave in the comments below, share it to me on the Discord, reply to the 17th Shard post. I'll be very interested to find out what people's theories are there. Oh, I've just realised I look really tired because it's like 12 o'clock at night. Right, so Navani's invented the watch, which also has a pain reel on it, which is pretty cool. We see Zahal again. Oh, I've never actually said his name out loud. Zahal? Zahal, yeah. We have the return of Zahal again. He's dressed with his robe, as per usual, tied up with his nice little rope that he likes to have on him. I thought maybe that he was going to take the opportunity to bug out of Roshar at this point, because, you know, he likes it there because it's nice and quiet, and Zevastorm is definitely not quiet. Doesn't look like that. Good to see he's still around. And then Dalinar goes on for a wrestle. And Dalinar's wrestling, in wrestling, he mentions that he reaches for the thrill, and then he talks about the thrill being the kind of open secret about the success of the Alethi. And I don't know if we knew this before, because I didn't know this before. I didn't realise that the thrill was just an Alethi thing. I thought it was a whole of Roshar thing. I mean, we know the thrill is an effect of an unmade, so obviously that unmade is in Alethkar, but for some reason in my head I just assumed that the thrill was something that all of Rosharans felt, and not just Alethi, but it looks like it's just Alethi. After his wrestling match, Dalinar then has a sword fight with Kadesh, and can I say, it's just absolutely what I can imagine is almost quintessential Brandon Sanderson, is have him chat with the Iriali Triarch whilst also having a sword fight, and also a philosophical discussion about the nature of God and whether he exists and stuff. It's just, it was a great scene. The Iriali refused to join because they claim that Dalinar stole Evie's shard plate, and then we get a mention of Evie, and when I first saw this, I was like, hold up, what? Does this, because there were some theories from the Unfettered chapters where you only see Evie as Dalinar's betrothed, and so there was a lot of people that were like, oh, this is his wife, and a lot of other people that were like, this is just one of like the betrothed beforehand, and then that might fail, and then the actual wife turns up and it's Ravenna. And it seems that, like, so I almost took this as a confirmation that Evie was not Dalinar's wife, but then it does seem that she is actually indeed Dalinar's wife, because he's just as shocked to hear it. So, and then he gets like a rush of memories coming to him. And it does seem that Dalinar is overcoming his Night Watcher curse, and I find this very, very interesting. The last time we saw, that being said instead of Evie was in chapter 4, which was just before Dalinar and Navani got married. So I've kind of come up with a list of things that have changed since that moment. Things that are different, things that could have affected Dalinar in a way which has healed him in some way. Some of these are heavily dependent on what the actual boon curse is. So there's a lot of dependencies here. Number 1. Simply the Stormlight has healed his memory. This one, I feel, could be a thing. It's entirely possible in my opinion. We've never seen someone with a Night Watcher curse use Stormlight, so I do see this as a possibility. Possibility number 2 is Navani is now his wife. So whatever curse he got, if it was related to his wife, who he previously thought of as Evie, and he now thinks of as Navani, if the curse or boon that made him forget his wife, could that possibly switch targets from Evie, so he'll remember Evie now, and he's going to start forgetting Navani? And I think that I don't like this because I don't like the dramatic implications of it. I find, I'm forgetting my wife is just kind of a shit storyline. So, whilst I do think that was possible, I don't think that's what's exactly going to happen. Option number 3 is that whatever the conditions are, they involve the pain of remembering her. And now that he has moved on from Evie to Navani, her memory will no longer cause him pain, and therefore no longer constitutes the parameters of the curse. And so that's why he's going to start remembering her, and then he won't forget Navani. I think. Who knows? Like I said, these are very dependent on the Night Watcher boon / curse. 4 is Shadowfax's theory, and I'm not a huge fan of this one, but a lot of people have gone behind it, and I think it's an alright one. It basically comes down to this, is that Navani's new Fabriel is both a time fabrial and a pain reel. And the idea is that Dalinar's surge binding thing that he did to Shallan with resonances in some way apply to the fabrials, the time and the pain fabrial, and kind of combine them and create like a fabrial resonance. And I do like the idea of fabrial resonances. I do say that fabrial resonances would be extremely cool. I just don't think that a timepiece and a pain rail would heal memory from the past. I just don't, it doesn't quite work in my head, mainly because the time rail could just be a little, a bit like quartz, vibrating anything. It could just be a little bit of gem moving within the watch to keep time. The pain reel doesn't heal, it just takes away pain. And also, at no point was it described as activated, and Dalinar said he had to tap on it to activate it. So I'm just not super keen on the idea, but the idea of fabrial resonances, super good. So that's it for today. Turns out this was a very long video, and I thought it might have been. So thank you very much for joining me. As always, please leave comments down below. Reply to me on Discord, onto the 17th Shard, on Reddit. Anywhere's good. Thank you for joining me, and I hope I can see you next time where we can continue walking to Urithiru. Bye. Adonalsium. Adonalsium.